The next step on the road to the 37th America's Cup was a big one. From Spain to Saudi Arabia, Villanova to Jeddah. The America's Cup has never been to the Red Sea before. Neither has any Grand Prix sailing event. So racing here was going to be new territory for all. And there were plenty of surprises in store, starting with the conditions. The breeze on the first training day wasn't that strong, nothing that the teams hadn't handled before. But the short, choppy sea state was tricky, and it showed. On the second training day, conditions had got even tougher, and only 2 teams headed out of the harbour. The fact that so little was known about this area before the racing started was partly what gave it its appeal. So welcome to Jeddah. After the first preliminary regatta had taken place in Villanova in Spain in September, it was time to pack up and ship the boats to Saudi Arabia. As always, hopes were high across all the teams. At this level, everyone comes to an event to win. But after the opening event in Spain, teams look like they're adopting a range of different strategies. The defenders, Emirates Team New Zealand, arrived determined to deliver the win that they so narrowly missed out on in Spain. Ineos Britannia team was still feeling bruised from its humiliating defeat, where they finished last. The British were now on a mission to right what they saw as a wrong. American Magic was still revelling in their victory, but admitted that since lifting the trophy, they'd used the time to concentrate on crucial development work for their new AC75, rather than training in the AC40. Meanwhile, Lunarossa Prada Pirelli had arrived with their second and youngest team of Italian sailors, including 19-year-old helmsman Marco Gradoni. This, they said, was always part of their plan. The French Orient Express racing team also has a young team, but despite their relative lack of experience in the Cup world, they stole the show on the opening day in Spain by winning the first race. And it was clear that they had this as a goal for Jeddah too. The Swiss Alinghi Red Bull Racing team decided to make camp in Jeddah 3 weeks before the event, and well before anyone else had arrived. They'd also shipped both of their AC40s to make the best of the conditions, and they were clearly the team with the most local knowledge. So, with such a range of approaches from 6 highly focused teams, creating a form guide was going to be very difficult indeed, leaving the racing to do the talking. And what a start! The first leg of the first race set the scene.
With 6 to 7 knots of wind, there was just enough for most of the teams to fly, and enough to ensure close racing, so long as teams could remain on their foils. But not everyone could.
This is the umpires. USA disqualified, deliberately going way outside the boundary.
The opening race focused on a duel between the Kiwis and the British, where Emirates Team New Zealand took the first win. The second race saw the Kiwis take the lead again. This time it was the Swiss Alinghi Red Bull Racing team that took second. Their practice looked like it was paying off. By race 3, New Zealand was looking unstoppable, but the Italians had other ideas. As the Kiwis dropped off their foils, Lunarossa Prada Pirelli remained airborne and scorched around the course in a flawless display to take the team's first win in an AC40.
Here we go!
Even more impressive was the performance of the 2 new Italian helmsmen. Both are highly regarded accomplished dinghy sailors. Ruggero Tito won an Olympic gold medal in 2021 and has world and European championship titles. Marco Gradoni has 3 back-to-back world titles in the Optimist class and is just 19 years old. With just a couple of days in the AC40 before the event, neither had much experience in this boat or the fleet, but they had delivered an exceptional result against some of the best sailors in the world.
For sure, we are super happy. The conditions, as we know, were super tricky. The first 2 races were a bit ice-breaking, but then we managed to break the ice and pull off a very good race, a win, which is also probably the first win of Luna Rossa in the AC40. So yeah, we are super happy about today, but we know that it's going to be a long way to go.
Yeah, we have never sailed with this breeze with 6 boats. But we learned pretty fast, so I think today we did a good start. We picked up good lanes and everything went pretty easy, you know. That is one of the day that something, you know, that get easy, you know.
While Emirates Team New Zealand had demonstrated just how polished they are, the Americans had had a shocker. From hero to zero, their opening day had been humiliating. But it was also a reminder as to how small the difference is between the front and the back of this highly competitive fleet.
It's always tough. A day like today, you just want to crawl away into a hole and hide and forget about it, but that's not what you've got to do. You've actually got to face your issues head on. What were we doing wrong? How did we make those mistakes? Yeah, I mean, obviously, as a team, we're gutted. I'm embarrassed. I've never sailed like that before, and we've just got to get better.
Whether you're ashore or afloat, spectator or competitor, day 2 was a day that no one would forget. With a steady 16 knots of wind and a sea state that was due to build throughout the afternoon, the stage was set and the fleet delivered.
Still fired up from the day before, the Italians delivered another impressive performance, winning the race and forcing the Kiwis to take second.
That's one, boys. Here we go. Good race, boys. Okay, timing.
They nearly pulled it off again in the next race, but were pipped by Emirates Team New Zealand after a closely fought battle. The final race of day 2 saw yet more close action. By now the sea state had built, but the racing had got even closer, with a 3-way battle at the front. A battle that the Kiwis won. Even for the most accomplished sailors, this had been an exceptional day's racing. No one had ever seen anything like this before in the Cup. The Kiwis could relax, they now had a place in the final, but they were still buzzing when they came ashore.
It just felt like there was never a moment where you could relax and be like, okay, we've got something under control here. You know, the Italians pushed us really hard in the middle race and they kind of disappeared in that first one. And I think the last race, it was almost a 4-way battle there for a few laps. So it was fantastic. That's what we've been looking for, is intense, fast, close racing where accuracy was important. And yeah, we were pushed hard, but very happy with our results too.
By the end of the day, the Kiwis had secured their place in the match racing final with a day to spare. Eyes were now on who would join them. The focus was on the young Italians, or would it be the Swiss? And there was another question too. What would the weather deliver? The forecast suggested that conditions would be even better, with a step up in wind speed and sea state. And when the boats went out, that's what it looked like.
The Italians' blistering performance in the first race of the final day made it clear just how much they wanted to be in the final. Winning the race and muscling their way past the Kiwis left no one in any doubt. Despite a race to spare, the final was now set. Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli would face Emirates Team New Zealand. The final fleet race did nothing to change this, other than to confirm that the Kiwis were using every opportunity to demonstrate their supremacy by taking their 5th win of the series.
New Zealand, Italy, this is the race committee. Welcome to the match final.
Given how hard the Italians had pushed the Kiwis, ahead of this match it was hard to find a consensus on who would win. New Zealand gained the upper hand in the pre-start, but the Italians fought back up the first leg and continued to fight throughout the entire race, putting pressure on the Kiwis to trip up. But at the final top mark rounding, it was Luna Rossa's race that came off the rails. Further down the course, Emirates Team New Zealand's performance was flawless as they crossed the line to take the win they'd come here for.
Well, the Kiwis left Spain very disappointed. Second was not what they'd come for, but they leave Jeddah with the result that they wanted, and frankly, the result that they deserved. Because this has been an extraordinary few days of racing where the Kiwis have shown that they are the form team. They are the team to beat. They go home having won the Neom America's Cup Jeddah Preliminary Regatta. So from here, on the Red Sea, the competition moves back to the Mediterranean, Barcelona. The next competitive event isn't until the end of August. That'll be the 3rd preliminary event, and that'll be in the AC75s. It's a big gap between now and then, but there is plenty more going on as teams change gear and get ready for the next phase of the road to the America's Cup. Make sure you join us.
A sustainable future. Yanmar.